How close are we to transhumanism? I don't know if you thought you'd wake up to hearing that this morning, but we're going to take a look at that, as well as what are demons? What are demons actually? My name is Brandon Fogel. This is Evolution. Let's dive into this. So we got a lot to cover in a very short amount of time. So today we're going to talk about demons and what they are. Because I recently watched a video Michael Knowles had on his show. His name is Tim Albertino, and he is a rogue archaeologist, and I am so glad I came across this guy. He's got a book he's promoting, and I'm definitely going to go out there and buy it, just based on everything that they talked about in this podcast or this show that they had, the set down they had together. They talked for almost 3 hours, and Michael he said I could go 10 more hours, but he's going to bring them on hopefully in the future again. But they talked about so much, so I'm going to put a link in this video, so you should go check that out, because it is thrilling from beginning to end, and it really, I learned a lot of things just listening to Tim and what he talked about. He comes from he is a Christian, he does have that amazing blessing of being a Christian. He comes from that perspective. So but he's looking at things from a different lens and a different angle than we have normally been taught as Christians in the Western society of what demons are. And they went into aliens, and then they finished it off with transhumanism. We're going to primarily focus on what are demons specifically. And first of all, Tim's going to break it down in this clip we're going to look at, but then we're going to analyze it as well.
Because if you were to ask an ancient Hebrew or the writers of the Old Testament what a demon was, they would have a very different answer than us.
Well, if you asked an ancient Greek what daimon,
that's right.
Like even the phrase
that's
for happiness, right? Eudaimonia.
Yeah,
it's kind of like spirit. You know?
That's a very good point, because the Greeks believed specifically that the daimon was a spirit, a disembodied spirit of a being who had lived in the world before the flood. That's what a daimon was. That they died in the Golden Age, and that their spirits persisted in the earth after the flood in the form of daimons. Well, guess what? That's the Hebraic view. That's the view that's concordant with ancient Hebrew cosmology. So, in the cosmology of the Jews, the demons are a very specific thing. So let's address first how we view demons in Western civilization. And this is, I would say, primarily the product of medieval Christianity.
I'd love to, by the way, before.
Okay. So this opened my mind, because a lot of times I always talk about aliens and what they actually are out there, if they are a possibility, which I believe they are. They're probably out there. And I'm always kind of just, well, those are just demons. That's just demons doing their thing and, being their own, they're just tricking us, and they're just appearing. When actually in a Hebraic biblical worldview, and even the ancient worldview, because this is from a Greek philosophy as well, what a demon is. Socrates speaks of demons, and it's not the same thing as this specifically. His view of a demon, Socrates, is more of a conscience, this guide that he had in his life that was kind of telling him not to do things that he shouldn't do. But in a Hebraic philosophical viewpoint, a demon was a disembodied spirit of a giant that existed before the flood, the pre-Diluvian time period in history, before Noah's Ark and all that. The giants, which was a hybrid, also known as the Nephilim, they were a hybrid of angels and humanity. They're not fully human, they're not fully angels, they're just this thing that came about when the sons of God, which are the angels, came down and cohabited with the daughters of men. And they created this hybrid of giants, which were the Nephilim. The Nephilim die off, and since they're not fully human, or since they're not fully angel, they're kind of this weird thing in between, and God curses them, and they live as unclean spirits in the world. So they still exist in this world. They're just around, just floating around, or however they are in this world. but they still have this same appetites and lusts and desires that they had when they existed as humans or hybrid humans, but they can no longer satiate or satisfy those desires. So they just go around and they're just tormenting people from that time period until now. We see it in like hyperdrive when Jesus comes along, and those demons are crying out to him, "Why are you here to judge us before the time? Why are you here, Son of God?" They know who he is. They talked about a lot of different things in this video and went into the book of Enoch. They basically cover it, most of everything from a more high level viewpoint. But when they talk about the book of Enoch, they get into a lot of the prophecies and things that we know about Jesus. And there's multiple books of Enoch. There's 3 books of Enoch, and the one that is most regarded as the time period before Jesus was Enoch 1, which was found in the Ethiopian church. It was so it was in that book of literature that they had, and they preserved and had archived, and we can pull it from. And from the book of Enoch 1, we see a lot of prophecies about Jesus, the Son of Man. A lot of us don't touch the book of Enoch because it's not Bible, but it's still a lot of good stuff. And a lot of the New Testament authors regarded it in very high esteem because they quote from it. They allude to it in so many different things. But in talking about the demons that are in the New Testament, the demons that are in the Old Testament and come into our world and they're still existing, they are disembodied spirits of these giants that existed long, long ago. Now, what do they have to do with the future and what's going to happen at the end of days? We are in the end of days, you could say. Are they driving humans to do something do they want to take us out of our humanity? Do they want to it seems like they lust for us because they are not, because the whole thing with the angels coming down and cohabitating with women and having children with them was because they desired something that they didn't have. And they created these hybrid like beast animals, but look like people. And now that we are still here, like, is the demons that the remnant of them that are still existing, are they wanting to do something to us? Are they going to try to drive us to almost further remove our humanity? And that's what transhumanism, and they're going to get into this as well and this goes into like, because I had to shift my whole viewpoint of what aliens could be, because I always thought that, well, that's just demons tricking us and demons just making an appearance, when actually there possibly could be real aliens out there, and there most likely is. And in this video, what they talk about, we are more than likely going to stumble upon this, that we are going to possibly go to Mars, land on Mars. We're going to see possible civilizations. We're going to see whatever's out there that is just going to blow our minds and get people in a worshipful mindset to worship these things that are out there, whatever they are, because it's going to come full circle, because it started with in the Garden of Eden, that we wanted to become like gods. And at the end of time, when in this video they talk about, Tim brings up, we're going to get to the possibility, the potentiality of becoming gods, and it is a majority of humanity is going to try to swallow that pill. And in doing so, we're going to lose who we are as humanity, as humans. And it's like, if you remove yourself from being a human, you are no longer eligible for redemption. You are no longer eligible to be saved, because Jesus came to save humanity. He did not save angels. He's not saving hybrids. He's not saving people, these giants, these spirits. They don't have a chance. The only ones he came to save were the sons of Adam, humans. And it's a warning to everyone. Are they going to give up that possibility of being saved by just crossing over to some new life form? And we're going to take a look at this next clip which talks about the transhuman piece with Tim and Michael.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this is the project of directed evolution. So we have a goal in mind, even though we don't articulate it. And that goal is what you mentioned, Homo Deus. We intend to become the gods that we read about in mythology. We intend to become the gods ourselves. And I'm attempting to try and connect the dots here to answer the question you asked me a while ago. And I believe that we're being guided. It's not aimless, the direction we're going in. We're going in a very particular direction, and it's precisely what you said. The story is going full circle back to the beginning. You shall be like the gods. So that we are going to realize, we
This
are
is
going
what
to
I actually
learn at
wanted
some
to show
point
you
in the
right here.
future that the gods exist. And we will endeavor to become like them. And we will use all of our technological tools in this enterprise. But by doing so, we will lose our humanity.
Yep. Lewis says in Abolition of Man, every step forward we find is a step backward. You know, we want to increase our autonomy by creating this new genetically perfect future generation of humans. We're doing it now. We're doing it now through things like IVF and various reproductive technologies. And we can soon select for other traits without question. But
So there's a lot there. I meant to actually show you that first part first. That, the transit, we are going to reach that point where we are going to see that the opportunity that is before us, whether we can become like the gods. We want to advance, we want to evolve, but this isn't just evolution Darwinism, and this isn't just evolution of random mutations and all that of natural selection. This is people wanting to direct the evolution. And they talk about in this Nietzsche philosophy, which it all stems from Nietzsche, who was a prophet, a very big prophet in a sense, for evolution, and for the natural man of becoming the Superman. So there's a lot on the horizon. This whole video was very eye-opening to me because it gave me an awareness of things that I thought I understood, but I feel like I'm almost just scratching the surface of what is all in store for us. And it's good to be aware because people are always wanting to change their self. They want to be something different. We want to be something more, as opposed to how important is it to be a human. And if we lose that, we might be losing a lot more than we bargained for. All right. So we'll leave it at that. If you like this video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. My name is Brandon Fogel. I do this every day, 7 a.m. Central Time. So have a great day, everyone.
I could see the cracks form in the paint, growing like a fire. What do I say? Can you see that?